Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We'll cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. We'll give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have an excellent show for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. So, the number one story yesterday was this conversation that was centered on David Falk, former super agent of Michael Jordan. Everyone discussed it. Initially, when the word first came out, we touched on it on the channel. I think we did a live. And it was brought up extensively yesterday on ESPN to the point where even Michael Wilbon stepped up and said, look, if you're telling me that I have to say LeBron is ahead of Kobe, Magic, and all these guys, Kareem, you can go kick rocks. I'm never going to say that. And it really kicked it off. A lot of people were talking about it, and some people started to modify their positions, etc. So later in the evening, Stephen A. Smith did an episode, a taping of his show, where he invited on, who else? None other than David Falk, Michael Jordan's agent, which I thought was pretty impressive, actually, to get him out there so fast. So I tuned into it, and I got to be honest with you, when I tuned in, it was already happening live, so I was kind of confused. So I woke up this morning to kind of watch it again after it concluded, so I can watch it from the beginning so I can get a better grasp of what was being said. And essentially what was happening was David Falk was then asked again to essentially clarify why he has Michael Jordan and Kobe and these guys ahead of LeBron James and why he feels Jordan is the GOAT. And what he did was he doubled down. And he really broke it down as to why this thing isn't even close, both on and off the court. And as he was saying this, I'm like, these are sentiments we have echoed. And I'm 100% agree with everything that this guy is saying. But before we even get into his comments, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports with over 10 million members. PrizePicks makes it easy to get real money action on the sports and players you love. You pick more or less on at least 2 for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. For example, this week on PrizePicks, I'm looking at the upcoming NBA schedule and selecting Stephen Curry for more than 29 points and Kevin Durant for more than 27 points and Anthony Davis for more than 12 rebounds and Luka Doncic for more than 8 assists. If you're like me and you like to play it safe, you'll love PrizePicks' new feature, Flex Plays. It's the safest way to play. You can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. Plus, you can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. On top of this, PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money as quick as in 15 minutes. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we'd like to do now is we'd like to play what he had to say. I want you guys to listen to it in its entirety, and then we're going to come back and give you guys our reaction. Take a listen to that there.
You said what you said. You've had an opportunity to reflect on what you had to say about LeBron James in comparison to Michael Jordan. The floor is yours. What would you like to say now?
Let me say at the outset, clearly LeBron James is a great player in any era. You'd be foolish to suggest otherwise. His longevity, his statistics are amazing. I think what makes Michael the GOAT goes way beyond the court. I think on the court, Michael obviated the center position. Prior to Jordan, you needed the Elijah Wallens, the Ewings, the Kareems, the Bob Lanairs. And the way Michael played, he made it unnecessary to have a great center. Look who he won the championship with: Bill Weddington, Dickie Simpkins, Bill Cartwright. And I think that had a huge impact on the game. Secondly, and perhaps even more importantly, I think Michael individually broke down every barrier that existed for professional basketball players, and in particular African-American professional basketball players, to become national marketing brand ambassadors. So the whole generation of LeBrons and Kobe's and Steph Curry's having their own shoes and being in commercials did not exist before Michael came in the game. Magic didn't have it. Bird didn't have it. Dr. J didn't have it. Kareem didn't have it. And I think that's a preponderant impact. I think third, I believe he's the first NBA player to become a billionaire. I believe he's the first NBA player to become a majority owner of an NBA team. And finally, he had, a tremendous impact on fashion. He changed the look of the way the players play with the long shorts. He made bald as beautiful. Um, and so I think beyond comparing statistics, who had more points, who averaged more, even who had more championships, I think Michael's impact is extremely broad and deep in what he did to change the game. I don't think any other player in history had that kind of an impact.
What do you make of people who would look, and I want to get far beyond those two individuals that we're talking about for the moment, but I got this one question to ask you. What do you make of folks and their assertions that the times that we're living in now, the advent of social media, the digital stratosphere, the microscope that is on players in today's game like never before. The impression is given that even the great Michael Jordan, with his unparalleled popularity, I compare him to no one. The only person I've ever compared him to was Michael Jackson, for crying out loud. That's how popular Michael Jordan was. When you listen to people talk today, they talk about the climate, the environment, the society that we're living in today, and they say it's far more invasive than it has ever been, which makes the road tougher for a guy like LeBron James compared to what Jordan had to endure during his playing career. You've been around a long time. You know this business like the back of your hand. What do you make of that, of those assertions?
Clearly, social media has brought the fans closer to the players. Everyone can express their opinion. You don't have to work for a newspaper or a television station to have an opinion. But I think it's the natural tendency when you're the best at anything. There's a human tendency to try to tear people down. And certainly Michael had that because of his immense popularity. People criticize him, for example, for not being political enough, not expressing his desire for certain candidates. And so, sure, I think that the social media has changed the game. I also think if you want to be objective, the game has changed itself. I had this discussion about a month ago with Rod Thorne, who's a very dear friend of mine who drafted Michael Jordan. And he said to me, which I didn't know, he said, do you realize today that the average NBA team takes 1/3 more shots than they did in Jordan's era? So when Jordan averaged 38 points a game, if you increase that by a third, that means he would average 52. Now, I think Michael could have averaged, and Michael took 1.7 threes per game. That's all he took. I think he could have averaged almost anything he wanted if that was what was required to win. That's all he cared about, was winning. And I think his record of 6 out of 6 is the greatest in the history of the NBA. Never lost the championship.
So you heard what he had to say. We have done probably 100 shows on this topic. And the part about when he talked about off the court, I've done shows about it, where I've said that this thing isn't even close. I don't know if you've seen my shows. I don't know. I'm not going to be that presumptuous. But I've said this, that it's not even close, folks. It's not close. And I used to laugh when people would be like, oh, man, LeBron is really, off the court. I'm like, he's really ahead of Jordan. I'm like, how? How? Because he gave his views on some political issues? Who says his views are the right one? That's what you're going to... So you got to go all the way to politics to say that he's better than, or that he has more of an impact? It's a joke. And we all know this. Everybody wants to be Mike. Mike has inspired pretty much every generation after him. He's a standard bearer for a lot of these guys. Inspired guys like Kobe and all of these guys, and then others came after him. So when they talked about, LeBron had this impact on the league and player empowerment, I'm like, LeBron's player empowerment has helped erode the fabric of the NBA. And we all know this. To the point where now you can't even get an NBA player to even think about competing in an All-Star weekend. And we've done shows where apparently we reported that during one of these recent All-Star weekends, when Larry Bird went to go speak to the team, after he was done, LeBron gave the entire locker room a side eye, like, let's just go out here and mail it in. That's LeBron. He helped. He's elevating the game. How? How? LeBron has elevated himself. The game? In what aspect? You heard what David Falk. In what aspect exactly? Where's the aspect? Where's the aspect? And I'm glad that he brought these points up. Now, obviously, some of these LeBron guys are going to be upset with me. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. The fact is, you guys have a lot of guys in media that twerk it up for you guys. So if you don't like our message, don't watch. Now, some of them say, hey, man, you know, when you talk about LeBron, it's what drives your channel. The reason that is because when I push back on some of these narratives, a lot of people who agree with me tune in. Do you think LeBron fans like me? Do you think LeBron supporters like me? Of course they don't. They don't comprise our audience base. Now, some of them are subscribed, and some of them, they just monitor our channel. That's why if we publish a video in the past, one of the first people that will always comment is a LeBron fan. They monitor the content, but to say they like it, to say they're our audience, they're not. They're people, I believe, at the core of our audience, you have Kobe and MJ fans who are looking for an alternative viewpoint on this issue. That's what I believe it is. And people are looking for those who share similar views as them. I believe at the core of it all, that's what it is. In terms of what Michael Jordan's agent is saying, I 100% concur with him. I 100% concur with him. And if you go back and listen to that full interview, he even broke down some of the errors that particular sports agents can make. Like, for instance, when a player wants to get traded. And the person I thought about was Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons was being managed by Clutch, and they absolutely mishandled that situation totally. Now look at Ben Simmons. So look, I agree with him. These are my thoughts. You guys weigh in and let me know what you think in the comment section. We catch you on the next show. Peace.